Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something pretty fundamental. This idea that greatness isn't just for a select few.
Right. Not some mystery.
Exactly. We're looking at practical ways, practical principles drawn from applying Wallace D. Wattles, the science of being great today, turning philosophy into, well, a kind of blueprint.
And we really have to hit that core idea right away. Wattles was pretty radical, saying, look, greatness isn't about your family or luck.
Right.
It's something everyone has a right to, potentially, but you have to apply yourself. The source material frames it as not mystery, but method, not chance, but choice. That's the key.
Method, not mystery. I like that. It feels doable. So our mission here is to unpack this science, We've boiled it down to 10 core principles, 10, let's say, keys for you. And we have to start with the foundation, the inner stuff.
Phase 1, building yourself from the inside out. And that starts with principle 1, recognizing the seed of greatness within you.
Okay, the seed of greatness. So this is really internal, isn't it? Recognizing what, like a divine spark, this idea that everyone, no matter where you are now, has this huge potential.
Exactly. Infinite potential. And that idea, if you really take it on board, it changes how you see everything. Yourself, your life. It's not about smallness.
But what's the catch? Or the consequence?
The analysis we looked at is pretty sobering on this. It says greatness isn't usually lost because people, aim really high and fail. That's almost noble.
Right.
No, it's lost when they aim too low and are content, just settling. And realizing that is meant to be humbling. It sort of forces you to live differently, to honor that potential. You can't really stay comfortable with mediocrity if you believe you're meant for more.
Okay, so recognizing that potential is step 1, the starting gun. Then what? Where does the science part come in?
That leads straight to principle 2. Thought is the architect. The importance placed on your mental state here is huge. Think of your mind as a workshop, and your thoughts. That's the raw material, the substance you use to build your character, to direct your energy. Thought isn't just background noise in this view. It's a force.
So you need discipline.
Immense discipline. Like an engineer who absolutely refuses to use faulty materials. You have to guard your mind. If you let doubt, fear, negativity just hang around in that workshop.
You build shaky structures.
Exactly. Things will crumble under pressure. And pressure always comes, doesn't it?
It does. Okay, but make it real. How does this thinking yourself into greatness actually work? Any examples?
The material points to people like Abraham Lincoln, battling depression, poverty. But he kept his thoughts focused. Justice, duty, liberty, or Thomas Edison. Think of the failures.
Thousands.
But he kept his thoughts locked on the possibility, on light, on invention. Their achievements didn't just pop out of nowhere. They started with a certain kind of mental atmosphere, ordered, persistent, before any physical success.
And that kind of thinking, that mental discipline, it builds something lasting.
It lays the groundwork for principle 3, living from the center, which is all about character.
Character, the hidden root of greatness, as the source puts it. I like that. It suggests strength isn't about the big public moments.
Not primarily, no. It's forged privately. In the small choices, when it'd be easier to cut corners or, just go with the flow. It's about living by principles like honesty, fairness, not just impulse or what's convenient. There's a great analogy, the oak tree. Its real strength isn't the branches you see, it's the roots. Deep, unseen, holding firm.
Character is the root system.
Precisely. Life throws storms at you, pressures you. A life rooted in strong character might bend, sure, but it's unlikely to break. We see it all the time, right? Amazing careers suddenly collapsing because the character, the roots, were just not there, built on sand.
Okay, that wraps up phase 1, recognizing the seed, training our thoughts, anchoring in character, solid foundation. Now, phase 2 is about momentum, getting things moving.
Turning potential into reality. And the engine for that, principle 4, faith.
Faith. Okay, define that in this context. It's not just wishing, right?
Definitely not. It's framed as conviction in action. It's a deep trust. Trust in, let's say, universal laws working out, and trust in your own ability to follow through. It changes how you see things.
How?
Well, someone with this kind of faith sees a problem, an obstacle, and they stop. But someone operating with this conviction, they see it as a stepping stone. They trust the process rewards effort.
That sounds good, but, trusting the process when you can't see the path ahead, or when it costs you years, decades even, that's tough.
It is tough, and that's why the historical examples are powerful. Think of Moses at the Red Sea. no path visible. Faith wasn't waiting for it to appear. It was the conviction to take that first step anyway.
Despite the uncertainty.
Exactly. Or Nelson Mandela, decades in prison. What kept him going? His faith, his absolute conviction that justice would prevail. That was his anchor. It let him endure and then act with reconciliation, not revenge. Faith provides that courage when things look bleak.
And that courage, that conviction, it needs to lead somewhere practical.
Absolutely. Which brings us straight to Principle 5, the discipline of action. This is non-negotiable.
Because vision without action is just
a map left in a drawer, useless. Thought, character, faith, they're vital, but action is the bridge. The only bridge to making things happen in the real world.
But lots of people have good ideas, strong character, maybe even faith, but they hesitate. They wait for the perfect time, the big break.
And that waiting, that's often the fatal mistake, according to this view. Greatness isn't usually about one giant leap. It's almost always about the discipline of many small steps.
Like the mason building a cathedral.
Perfect analogy. That stunning cathedral wasn't built by placing one magic stone. It was built by laying one stone, then another, faithfully, day after day.
Consistency.
That's the core of it. Persistence just outlasts resistance. Showing up, doing the work, even when you don't feel inspired. That discipline is valued more highly than momentary genius.
Okay, foundation built, momentum generated. Phase 3 seems to be about making it last, making it meaningful.
Right. The sustaining powers. How do we ensure this isn't just personal success, but something significant, enduring? It starts with Principle 6, the spirit of service.
Service, why is that essential for greatness?
Because, according to this perspective, greatness focused only on the self is, well, it's fragile. It doesn't last. Service is like the alchemy, you know. It transforms ordinary success, money, power, talent, into true greatness, provision, protection, inspiration for others. It shifts focus from getting to giving.
So how do you measure that? The difference between just being successful and being great in this sense?
The measure changes. It's less about how high you climbed personally and more about the breadth of your positive impact. How much did you help provide for others, protect them, inspire them? Great people see themselves as channels, conduits, not just reservoirs hoarding everything.
Like Mandela choosing reconciliation.
Exactly. That choice, serving the greater good of the nation, defined his legacy far more than just overcoming his personal ordeal. Used his platform for others.
Okay, moving on with sustaining this. Principle 7 feels really counterintuitive today. The power of calmness, patience, and silence. We usually value speed, noise, urgency.
We do, and this framework directly challenges that, seeing these qualities not as weaknesses but as real pillars of strength, especially now with all the digital noise and constant pressure.
How are the strengths? Calmness.
Calmness helps you gather your energy. Instead of reacting frantically, you can make clear, potent decisions. Patience.
Nope.
Well, that's trusting the process. Great things take time. You don't keep digging up a seed to see if it's growing right. You trust the process.
Okay, I get patience. But silence. In today's world, if you're silent, you're often just ignored. How is silence powerful?
Silence is presented as the space where wisdom can actually mature. It's choosing not to get caught up in every bit of chaos and chatter. You conserve your energy, your thoughts, so when you do speak or act, it has weight, intent.
So it's about endurance.
Very much so. The restless spirit burns out. The one who cultivates stillness endures. Like a deep river, the source material says, calm on the surface, but powerful enough to carve valleys over time. Steady, reliable.
That steadiness sounds like it connects to the next principles, 8 and 9. They're about consistency, structure. Principle 8 is alignment.
Alignment with universal law, yeah. Basically, recognizing that greatness comes from working with the fundamental laws of reality, not fighting against them. It's about harmony, not chaos.
Universal law.
Yeah.
What does that mean practically for someone listening?
It means things like cause and effect. Your actions have consequences. It means recognizing moral laws operating with integrity, honesty, justice. You can't really expect lasting positive outcomes if you're constantly trying to cheat the system or harm others. That's moral alignment.
And spiritual alignment.
That's about humility, recognizing you're part of something bigger, respecting inherent worth. It's about inner consistency. When you align yourself with these non-negotiable laws, you tap into something larger than just your own willpower.
And that alignment, that harmony needs to be built day by day. That sounds like Principle 9, daily habits.
Precisely. If alignment is the overall design, habits are the daily construction work. The source calls habits the scaffolding of character.
Scaffolding, I like that.
Yeah, you don't suddenly become great. You become great through the small, often unglamorous things you do consistently, every single day. What you repeat, you become. It's that simple and that profound.
So things like keeping your word
Yeah,
or dedicating time for reflection.
exactly. Rising early. Small disciplines, done consistently. That builds strength that raw talent alone just can't match. Talent is great, but it often falters without discipline. Consistent practice, however, even with average ability, it eventually builds mastery. You're building your character bit by bit through repetition.
Okay, that feels incredibly actionable. Then finally, Principle 10 wraps it all up, the legacy of greatness.
Yes, this brings it full circle. It shifts the focus completely away from just your own achievement during your lifetime
To what endures.
to what endures after you're gone. Real greatness, in this view, is measured by your contribution, not just what you accumulated. It's about planting seeds in people, in ideas, in communities, trusting they'll grow, maybe long after you're not around to see it.
Like Wangari Maathai and the trees.
A perfect example. Planting millions of trees, yes, but also planting courage and environmental awareness in people. Her legacy is literally rooted in the ground and in the human spirit she uplifted. That's living for something beyond yourself, knowing your impact can ripple outwards.
So this whole deep dive, 10 principles, from recognizing that inner spark, through discipline, thought, and action, to service and legacy, it really does lay out a path, a method.
A practical method, yeah. Built on character, sustained by service and alignment, it argues significance is achievable.
Okay, so let's bring it home for everyone listening.
Right. This is the key takeaway. If greatness isn't some far-off mystical thing, but a science, a way of living each day, and if the call is to start now, not someday,
Then the question becomes,
what one habit? Just one. Noble habit, big or small, doesn't matter initially. What one habit will you choose to consciously install, starting today, to begin building the foundation for your legacy?
that's a powerful question to sit with, a real call to action. Thank you for walking us through this framework. We hope exploring these principles gives you, the listeners, some powerful tools for your own journey.